And welcome to the Technology Man. We do the work so you don't have to. What we review here at this site, we being myself and people who I collaborate with at this site, we look at hardware, we look at software, we look at anything around the house. We break it down, we take it apart, we render it to its smallest components, we look at it, and we teach you everything you need to know about it so you can make an informed decision. We hope we can save you money. We don't guarantee anything. How you use the information is up to you. We hold no liability for it. What I'd like to show you today is something, and everything in today's world right now, to give you a little historical on video. Video started with something back in the 70s called VHS, Video Home System Tape. And videotape, when that came into existence and it was competing with something called Betamax, a smaller version of the same flavor, people began to have the capability of watching videos, movies at home, making videos, and watching them at home. That VHS media is still around. People still have many of those tapes. They still have players. And then in the 80s, we graduated to something called DVD, or digital video disc, which is still popular today. It is surpassed by something called Blu-ray, which is a higher quality, much more data on a Blu-ray. But the bottom line for it all is, now in today's world, as we're in the 21st century, why bother inserting a disc or a tape or anything into a device and playing it? And we say why, because we can store this data or this media digitally, and we can view it at any time that we want without having to search through our archive of what we have and pull out a tape, pop it in, watch it, rewind it, or just pull a disc out, pop it in, take it out. Now, you may have an entire collection of DVDs, and you still have to insert one, remove one, insert one, remove one. This becomes a monotonous kind of a thing. And the idea is, remember, the media that is on those DVDs was put there in a digital format. And you've been able to do it, I'm certain. Many people can. You can do it one of two ways. You can either record it into an MP4 format or something like that, MKV, and then digitally encode it and burn it onto a disc. You can also go the opposite way, and you can decode it or strip it off the disc and play it on any device you would like. And that's really what this is about. And it's within the legal confines of doing this. You bought DVDs, you bought the rights to watch those DVDs whenever you wanted to. The companies don't care if you strip it or if you remove it, or extract it, rather, is really the way to look at it. Extract it in a digital form and watch it on any device you want. They don't care. You've purchased a license to watch it whenever you want, whatever device it is on. And you can have friends over and do this as long as you're not charging. The second rule is, of course, you can't share that media. It's yours. You bought it, you can watch it, but you can't share it. The application we're going to look at today is called PLEX. And PLEX is a video platform that allows you to take your media and watch it from any device that you want. And you have to have a storage location of your media, and that is first that you see right here. The media can be on your computer, and in the advent of having 1-2 terabyte drives, there's more than enough space to have a few, or actually I would say, well, not even a few, a good amount of video there, maybe one collection of a particular series, television series you could have on there. But as you start wanting more and more media within your library, you want to have something like a network share drive, which is what we're going to see today, which happens to be a MyBook Live from Western Digital. Or you really get large and you have something called NAS. And NAS is a network share, where you're dealing with a piece of hardware that has a number of hard drives in it. So let's say a typical one would be 4-bank NAS, and the NAS actually runs software on it, allowing you to access the media on your drive. And so you would have, let's say, four 4 terabyte drives, or 16 terabyte, or 4 8 terabyte drives, or 32, and I think they max out at 16, so the maximum on some of these in a 4-bank would be 64 terabyte. That is an ungodly amount of data. I mean, that's huge. And when you're looking at 16 terabyte drives, something that large, it's going to get you extremely a large amount of audio media, which is much smaller. Video media, on the other hand, is larger. To give you an idea, I would say, in my experience in working with this, is that for every hour you're looking at about a gigabyte. So every hour is about a gigabyte. So in a movie, if it's an hour and a half, you're looking about 1.5 gigs, maybe 2, depending upon the quality of the movie. Now that's standard video format. That's not Blu-ray. Blu-ray can be much, much larger. I haven't ripped a Blu-ray. I haven't done any work with Blu-ray, but expect that to be at least twice that size, because there's much more data there. And remember, we're not only ripping video, we're ripping audio with it. So you look at those numbers, and as I said, for 2 hours, let's say 2 gigs, you're looking at audio and video together. So let us give you an example here, and let's say here on this, I'm using a 2 terabyte drive, and I'm saying that for every 2-hour presentation, it's about 2 gigs, which means in a sense, I could probably have, it wouldn't be exactly this amount, I would say about 90 movies, because 2 times 90 is, 2 gigs times 90 movies is 100 2,000 gigs to the terabyte. So at 2 gigs you would have, I take that back, not 90 but 900 potential movies, which is 1,800 gigs, or about 1.8 terabytes. Now it might not be that close. That sounds like an awful lot. It sounds like something good, but to be quite honest with you, you're probably safer, and you always want to take an 80% rule on this one. So I really have 1,600 gigs to really work with. And in that case, I'm looking at probably about 750 movies. I wouldn't hit the 800 mark exactly, but that's a lot of movies to put on a 2 terabyte drive. And, you know, it's still capable of doing that. But I would say just on the safe side, I'd want to have at least 4 terabytes just for my movies alone. I could have 4 terabytes for my music and never have to worry about losing that, and probably my home movies, another 4 terabytes. And then, you know, because you're looking at movies, music, home movies, and the fourth area probably of the media, you could look at, you could have different types of formats. Maybe you have your Blu-ray on the fourth one. In any event, you need to have the media stored somewhere, because you're going to be pointing to that media using a piece of software. It's called the PLEX media software. Now, on this example here, for the Western Digital share drive, you need a computer, and the computer's running constantly. It doesn't take up much power, but it is running as a server to access the shared drive. If I have a NAS, the NAS in itself is what's running, which is ideal, which is why NAS is where you want to go. The NAS is run for a 4-bank NAS close to about, I think it's $350. You might go higher. That's just the bank. That's not the hard drives. The hard drives themselves, you're looking at, if you're going to spend for every 2 terabytes, you can Google this, but I would say it's probably somewhere around $100 for every 2 terabytes these days. maybe a little bit more, maybe 150. And so you can pretty much figure out how much it would cost you to fill up all those bays. Any event, so the media server points to this shared drive. When you install it, when I installed it on the computer that I'm running, it points to where are my files located. We'll get into how to name those files in a moment, but it points to where I'm locating those files, what location. So now I have something where Plex can communicate with my files. It'll have an access point to them, if you will. Now I've got to run the app itself, and the app communicates with the media server to tell it where to find the media. Now the app can run from a computer as well. We're doing that now. We will be. I'll show you that. Could be on your smart TV, could be on your Xbox, your PlayStation, your tablet, your phone, whatever. And then you have to have a viewing device. In this case, where the app runs and where it's viewed, ideally should be one and the same. So you can do it from your computer and view it on your computer, your smart TV, view it on your smart TV, tablet and phone, same thing. Xbox is an interesting one, or PlayStation. You can have it running there. Your viewing device is your TV. It doesn't matter. Either way, it's one and the same. Depends how you want to do it. And so this is why I say here, you may need a viewing device or you may not need it. So depends upon where you run it. Now, I talked about early on naming conventions on this. So what you do here is, once you configure your Plex server software and it knows what computer or what NOS has the access point for the media, then what you have to do through the app is create libraries and name them. But you should, where you store your data, have a naming convention. Now, you see here X, or the X drive, seems to point to television, while the Y drive points to movies, and Z is music. So you can break it up that way too in your 4-bank NOS. You can have television in one drive, movies on another drive, music on a third drive, and home stuff on a fourth drive. Your home videos, the kids' videos, whatever it is. So you want to separate your files by media type. You're going to see why shortly in Plex. You're going to see why. The point to this is that you want to be able to create those libraries in such a way that you bring the media that is native to those libraries into them. We'll see that. You can separate each media by subfolder. In other words, to what I'm saying here is, and this is where it's beneficial, is even if you have everything on a television, all your television programs on one drive, you create subfolders for each of your television series. And I say this because if you don't do this, everything on that drive will wind up being brought into your library. You can't control it. And it's the same thing for music. You can put all of your classical in one location, you could do it that way, or you could just do it in subfolders. I think subfolders is beneficial because I can bring in what I want or leave out what I don't want. And then movies sort of run the same way too, but movies are probably a bit easier in that you really don't need subfolders because a movie is only one file, right? Whereas if we look at music and television, I have multiple files that make up one album or multiple files that make up one season of one series. You have to think of how this works. So point 2 is separate each media by subfolder. I think otherwise all the media is going to be together. Then your naming of your files, we'll look at that in a moment. And as you see here, the drive assignment does not have to be a separate drive. You see here, believe it or not, these are all mapped drives that reside on my computer. And they're the same drive. Now you can map, if you had a NOS, all 4 drives separately, but you wouldn't have to do it on your computer. You'd access it from your NOS. You would know they're separate drives. Okay? You just have to access your NOS and set up the structure of your folders. And then point 5, they certainly can be separate drive assignments, no question whatsoever. So, what we're going to do here is show you where, and let me just leave this up until it comes up, show you where PLEX, or how to access PLEX. PLEX you can access from your computer, or you can run the app on your desktop. When I'm on my computer, I don't see any benefit to running the app. I can get the app for Mac or for Windows. When you run the app, you have limitations to what you can do when you run or when you access the website. The website is really for configuring things here, and we're just going to go, it's plex.tv, simply put. Sign in, and sign in here. I'm not worried about my email. You seeing that? That's not a big problem, because you won't know anything. I can change it anyway. All right, and it should have signed in. Oh, there we go. And then we launch. You get into the account. PLEX will launch. It will look for a server. First thing it does. Now, another point about the server you should know: use only one server. You can have multiple servers, and I also have a passcode here, and which four digits is not going to be crazy enough to stop anyone, but for me, you don't have to have it. You can get rid of that. You would have multiple servers, you'd have multiple instances, and it's not sensible. You want to set it up once and that's it. As you can see here, I have music, which is a Mozart, right? I have television. I have 3 different TV series. Not everything. I'm missing several seasons here. I only have one. All of the seasons here and here exist. Under Science, I have a couple of physics lectures by Dr. Richard Feynman. Documentary, this one here happens to be Rod Serling documentary. I'll explain why it's there. And this here is some very vintage movies by George Méliès. You'll notice over here, you'll see different images here. This is for music, for TV, and for science, for movies. I'm going to go into here and just go to Manage Library and Edit. I want to show you, you see the 4 here, right? You have, or there's actually 5, but you have the movies, and you see 3 of them on they're pinned to the left, are movie type. There's a television is the only TV show type, and then music. You can also have images if you want to display images, do a slideshow. And other media usually points to your home movies. The reason we say this is because when you use the first 3, you are going to be accessing databases. And I'm just going to show you the folder right now on this one. Again, it's just, you can add folders here, right? I only have 1. But under the advanced here, I used PLEX Movie Scanner to scan each file as a scanner, and I'm using the movie database, meaning that this particular one resided in the movie database. And when I go to this is the edit pen, and I click it, you're going to see a lot of information here. It's the story of Rod Serling, and let's see if we can get it to come up. It should. There we go. I didn't enter anything here. This was already picked up as part of metadata from the file. It tells you when it was released, available, a little summary, life and career of the Twilight Zone and Night Gallery creator, the name of it. There are some things called tags. It's a documentary. You can add whatever tags you want. Really is nice. Let me see if there's any more. You can create a collection too. I could create a collection called Rod Serling. Let me show you what happens. Then you have to add it. And I'll save the changes. Let me just see if it gets rid of it. No, it kept it. Again, you shouldn't be sharing any of this. This poster is what you see as the image for the digital file. And background here is when it plays the file, you'll see a watermark that looks like that. All right? And then the info, and here it is, it's an MKV. So what I wrote here was Serling submitted for your approval. And when it did that, it was able to pick up all that metadata. All right, I'm going to go to the library. This is under recommended. It starts off on one tab there. And you notice I already have my Rod Serling. This is my Rod Serling. It's going to, if I click on it, it's going to run it. There's that background we talked about that. I'm going to close it. I only have one in here, so it'll run the one. But if I put 3 or 4 of them in there, different documentaries, I can place them under Rod Serling, and that's it. It'll be done. So if I do this as, let me do it under collections. Let me see if I can, collections and Rod Serling. I think I spelled it wrong. And if I edit this collection, I'm going to have to fix this because this is not the right name. I just wrote it the wrong way. Here we go. We're going to call it there we go, and save the changes. There's no match to that because it doesn't exist anymore, right? So we'll go under collection, and let's close that. I'm sorry. Under collection again. Here you go. I got to go back. Documentary. Let's delete the collection first. Actually, let me do it this way. Let me edit this one where it really sits there. And here we go. Rod Serling. There we go. Add it and save the changes. Alright, so what we have to do here is delete this guy right here. And we can do that. We can get rid of that collection. I'm not going to lose anything in there. There we go. So if I view it by now collection, again, may seem a little awkward to you, and there's the correct name of it, and there we go. I only have one item. Again, I'm going to play it, but if I have 2 or 3, I can then open it up and display everything within a collection. So we'll close that down. So anyway, that's the point of that. I'm going to just get rid of it for now, and we don't want a collection, and still have this. So let me show you in television the example of what I've just showed you here. I'm going to open up a night gallery here. And by the way, let me go back for you so you know. Under television. If you click anywhere outside, if I click this here, I'm going to play everything in night gallery. I can edit it. I can look at some properties of it and change things. But what I'm going to do here is go in, as you see here, and now I see all of my seasons. I'll pick a season. And what I'm going to do here is edit this just to show you how it really does work. And let's see. Well, I have writers, directors here. Do I have it under? No, I don't. It's not doing it for television. You would have to have it, let's see here. Yeah, I thought it could do it. You can't have it in a certain format. In other words, what I'm saying is, some of them under tags will give you, notice the directors here. It even put the director information. John Badham was one of the directors of this here, under the tags. For season 2. You don't have to have it under collection because in this case here, right, like if I did this under science, I probably could do it here for you and show you this one here. We can change the way we view things. You have grid and list and summary. If you go to grid, it looks like that, right? If you go to the list, it looks like that. And this is all, and summary, of course, like that. So we're going to go to grid. And what we're going to do here is we're going to edit this one, and let's see. Under collections, we're going to call this Feynman. And we're going to add Feynman. Right? So we added one to it. Now we're going to add another one here. And here's the good thing about it. You can do it with movies. So if I do this with movies, you can't see it, but it's down here. I just select it. I don't know if you saw that. There it is. I can just select it. And I don't have to retype it in. Now, you notice I have more than one in here. If I do this by collections, and I look at Feynman, all right, I can see here that these are within Feynman, and I can play which ones I want. What I'm going to do here as well is get rid of the collection. Once you delete the collection, it's gone, okay? It's a little more flexible when you're doing your home movies, but I would say that the point is that, and this I kind of like here too, and this kind of, as I said, you have grid, list, and summary. It's a little bit better. It's just that you can compartmentalize all of your media in certain ways. Here, it's already done for you. You have program, season, and so forth. If I go to the Twilight Zone, I'm going to get 5 seasons here. There's a caveat to it, and I'm going to tell it to you in a moment. Let me just go down here for a minute and show you. If I edit this here and I go to info, notice how I named these episodes. I had to be careful about this. And even when I did this, what I came up with, and I'm going to go back to television, was this issue. If I click on the ellipsis that you see here, right there, little dots, and I go to fix match, you're going to notice that there's more than one Twilight Zone series. So when I originally had this thing going through the media of the movie data, and I used the movie database for a reason, not the television database, and I'll explain shortly. When you go through the movie database, which has television programs in it as well, it will pick up the very first one. It began to populate the 2019 and then went back to the 59. So you have to have the right series version. That's not going to happen with movies per se. You can name them pretty effectively, as we saw submitted for your approval, right? No problem there. Same thing will happen here, by the way. If I fix match here, I'm going to get two series of Hawaii Five-0. In the night gallery, I won't get that. There's only one night gallery at this point. Nobody's messed with it. The reason why I chose the movie database, just for your information, is that Night Gallery had episodes which contained 2 or 3 acts or vignettes, programs, showings. So for example, in here we have 2, and here we have 3. I think it's 3. Let me just see. We can look at that differently maybe, and under this view, yeah, it is 3. So, and that's why I did it. If I go to the TV database, it'll take each one of these, the dead man, the housekeeper, and make it an episode. It's very confusing. To give you another concern that you should have is, for example, here, I'm going to go to season 1 of Hawaii Five-0. I had to, in this DVD, episode 1 is complete. It was aired in 2 parts, and it's 1 episode. And so, you'll never get from the movie database or anything. I had it, if you name it Season 1, Episode 1, and then you have Season 1, Episode 2, over here I have 3. If I put in Episode 2, I'm going to get Cocoon, because the movie database sees Episodes 1 and 2 as Cocoon. And the DVD, they were just 1. So you have a lot of little things here that you have to be aware of. Now let's look at the server itself. The server itself is here, right? And as I said, if I go to the ellipsis here and I manage my library and edit it, I'm going to see I have just one folder for documentary. But let's go to television so you can really understand. Yeah, add folders. Wait a minute, no. Manage library. Let me just go back. Actually, if I go back to here and do it here, I want you to see yeah, it's all on TV shows, but let's see if we can do it under science. And on the folder should tell you right what's added to it. Here, I don't have it adding the subfolders under television. That's why. What I have it doing here is, and I could browse those folders under X, and you would see under TV, you should have Night Gallery, Twilight Zone, and Hawaii Five-0 and H5O. Let me just see here. Yeah, so you can add a folder to it from here, a particular folder, and you can control what media you have. This one here has everything under television, so if I look back at it again, just to show you, if I do an add folder, under television, which is on the server, yeah, this is all television, right? I do have Mayes on here, which is not television. Let me just look at that one for a moment to show you. Yeah, see, this one had Mayes. I could have done it with this one here and added those. So let's just see. I'm surprised they aren't there. They should be, but it could be because, let's see. No, see, it didn't. Okay. And see what will happen if I save those changes. It should be already there, but let's see if it adds another. And let's also look at and you saw that it actually had trash there for, let's add Twilight Zone and save those changes, show that to you, and that's also, I'm surprised it wasn't there. It may, you see them both here, and then let's add Night Gallery. And it will keep looking here. Now I'm going to match with this one. It should match it perfectly with it. I'll just give it a minute and just see that we got all of them there. Yep, we do. Okay. It'll take some time to refresh, and it does take a little bit of time. Just give it some time. You're going here and you're refreshing the activity here. So we'll just wait. But the point is, even with Hawaii 5.0, you see here, and you see Cocoon and so on. Let's see, it's going to take us some time. Let's see. We're waiting. And let's go back to TV and refresh the metadata. Okay, there's Night Gallery, there's Twilight Zone. You'll see it come up. And it will take some time for it to do this. When it does, it will match it pretty accurately, as I say. It just takes some time. Yeah, that's our dashboard. Let's see if we can fix the match. Let's see what we got. 1959. Let's see if we can do that. And fix the match here, and it should be 1970. Yeah, usually. And it's still getting the metadata. It's still going to get that metadata. So it does take a little bit of time. There we go. And you've got Night Gallery in there already. Let's see, the Twilight Zone should pop in. And, yeah, okay. Well, it does take a little bit of time, but it's not terribly bad. So we'll wait for the Twilight Zone to come in. Night Gallery looks like it's already populated, and there we go, back again, right? It even tells us the cast here, and there are some related shows. So if we look here, again, just to show you, we could have taken one off or kept one. What could have been done is simply, it could have, I didn't specify the original subfolders, which is fine. I specify just a television directory, which is acceptable. And you can do it that way. And we're waiting for, it's going to take a while for the Twilight Zone to come up, I think. I'm already seeing this information right here, showing here for each episode, so it's just going to take a little while. And you can see 156 episodes. None of them have been watched, 44, none of them have been watched, and 10 here. So we'll just give this a few more minutes to populate, and I'm sure it will. Obviously stuff like this is going to be harder because it's very vintage, it's very old. And let me just make sure that we refresh the metadata too. Manage library, refresh all metadata. Refresh it, and let's just make sure that we got the right match on this one. So we'll wait, see if it'll populate. Sometimes it takes one or two, and there it goes. You see it's spinning now. It just takes a few minutes to do it the first time. There's so many files too here. So it should be able to give us what we want. and there it goes. And there you have it. Beautiful. We just did it. So it takes a little while. You just hit refresh the metadata at will. And once the metadata is populated, it's done with. It's done with. It's beautiful. So I'm looking at this right now, and I'm going to tell you, with PLEX, to me, you have to strip or get the data extracted from your DVDs, which we'll show you in another video, the next one probably. But I would say out of a 5-star possibility, I give it 1 star for its presentation, its capability of handling the media. And here for Mozart, for example, just to show you, nope, I'm going to go into Mozart here, and let's see, let's go back to music. Let me show you where it is. Maybe it's under recommended. Yeah, see here, it'll pick up, this is the actual metadata it picks up, and then it breaks it down by disk. So if you're looking at it here, well, it's all broken down by disk. I want to show you just quickly. Here it is. Now these files were purchased on iTunes, so they were named in such a way where when I then did this with PLEX, they populated them. But anyway, I would say 1 in terms of its presentation, 1 star. It's a nice presentation. It's easy to select the video. It's easy to play them. You know, it's a nice interface for that reason. Let's just run this one. We can resume or start from beginning. Let's start from beginning, and there's our little white white marker. It's our background. It's our little what we see when we run the video. So 1 star in this presentation. The 2nd star to me is it's an ability, once the file names are correctly done, to access all this information and populate it for you. All right, and as you see, it's running right now. And you stop it down here, or you can move forward. You can do some things down here. Queue up whatever you want next in the sequence as well. The 3rd star, to me, is in the simplicity of it. And to me, I'm just going to stop this right now. To me, those are the 3 stars that this gets. I'm going to take a star away for the fact that if you don't name those files correctly, you can't populate the metadata effectively. And also, a star will be taken away because you saw the time it took to populate them too. Now, granted, it's a lot of data to get in there, a lot of information to get in there, and for me, we really, I think it's going to be an excellent piece of software. So that is Mr. Technology Man. You have a great week, and we'll be back with